start with Callum because he's going to do the bad. And yeah, I think it's a topical topic, that little bit of news that came out this week. So let's hear it, Callum.
Yeah, Paul Pogba, his B sample was tested, and he has tested again positive for steroids, testosterone. So yes, just want to really talk about why you think he's done it, and really summarize his career because it's basically curtains for Pogba. Now he's going to get about a 4 year ban. I think he's protesting his innocence, but overall, this kind of just sums up, in my opinion, what kind of career he's had since he went back to United. It's been riddled with injuries, just really, really average. And you don't want to see like some of the, like he's one of the most famous footballers in the world. And I don't know why most high profile footballers, and he's went and done a bit of tests. Like, what's your opinion on it? And it doesn't happen in football. Doping does not happen in football, in my opinion.
I mean, you picked this story just to wind me up.
I have.
This argument so many times before.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I told you what I thought, man.
yeah,
He did it out of passion. You
yeah.
know, he was injured.
I think
He the pain in his heart for being away from football. He just needed that testosterone to recover from his injuries and get back on the
I
pitch.
think
That's
the
what he did.
whole France national team should be under investigation
Shut the fuck
for
up.
doping, and they should be stripped of all their international honours, banned for 10 years, and heavily fined.
Yeah, you'd like
Yeah, I would love that.
that.
Bunch of cheats.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just, but jokes aside, it's really disappointing to see.
it's a similar conversation that we had in, what was it, episode 2 or 3 about Neymar
Mm.
and his career and, what type of legacy he leaves behind because I think it's very similar in career paths, different endings. Obviously, Neymar chose to go to Saudi Arabia
I've
and
noticed it's way different because I mean, obviously he's in the tail light of his career. We know that Pogba is, but his his legacy will be tarnished that he's a drug cheat. It doesn't happen at this elite level. Well, I mean, think about the last footballer who's got done for doing steroids. Like we know it happens in combat sports, but
yeah, it's gonna
rarely happens at this level. And I can't think of another football player that. I mean, Rio Ferdinand once got a year, I think, a year ban because he missed a drugs test.
legitimately though, like I think the reason he did it, and I'm obviously joking when I say, it was his passion for football that led him to do it, but I think he's just had so many injuries
Oh
over
no,
the past three,
sure.
4 seasons, and I think he just got fed up. And I'm sure his trainers are like, mate, to rehab this properly, to come back stronger than you were before, you're gonna need to do this. And that was
Just
probably just like, okay, fine.
poorly advised.
Yeah, or like he was just
I
like
just don't know.
fed up with all of his
There,
injury
there
history.
must be a bit of desperation in there for
Oh
sure.
no,
Hundred
yeah,
percent.
yeah,
And but just I would say like his career is definitely a bit disappointing. I know he's won the World Cup. I know he's won major trophies.
yeah. With the help of a bit of steroids, clearly, but
Yeah, but honestly, he hasn't done anything for the last several years. I know you're a United fan. We've had these debates before. I've argued for and against him, but overall, I'd say like there's not much you can do about injuries, right? Like injuries ruin a lot of people's careers.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like,
Some of the top
I do
players.
sympathize with him in that respect. But at the end of the day, if you're gonna cross that line where you're gonna cheat and do something against the rules,
So
you
that's what I think it differentiates from Neymar. Like we talked about Neymar and how he's just not a winner.
right.
He just can't win trophies. He can't be the leader of a team and win trophies.
Yeah, but
That's different.
Pogba was never. You've said that before, but I don't think Pogba was ever a leader. He was part of an elite France
Thank
team. He
you.
was
Tell
part
me
of an
when he's ever
elite.
done it, ever
But he
led
did he did lead France. If you
But
watch the documentary, he was one of the driving voices in that dressing
that
room.
doesn't matter, mate. But like
all PR and
he
steroids.
was part of he was he was part of an elite Juventus team as well. Like
Yeah,
it's not like
I
He won a
agree.
trophy with United
He
too.
won a trophy, but it
The
was
last trophy you guys won. So
no, isn't it? But like it, he was. I completely agree with Hassan. He was never a leader. You can always point back to the international stuff, but he was never a leader for United.
I mean, Neymar is considered a leader by Brazil and his other teammates. Like you can still be a leader, but that doesn't mean. Like, all I'm trying to say is Pogba was part of an elite France team. Like that
Hmm.
France team was just stacked, and they've had two starting 11s that could beat most teams. You know what I mean? Easily. Same with you.
well, that
He was never.
Juventus
He's
was
never captain material when he was at
Juventus
United.
was dominating, and they were dominating the Serie A for so long. He was part of an elite, one of the best Juventus teams ever. Like they were just nonstop winning every single year. So I'm not sure. Like he was amazing in his prime,
Mm.
But I
I
just,
think overall his career is definitely very, very disappointing. Put the injuries aside, he did have runs in United where he was injury free.
Yeah,
Mixed performances. You know what I
mixed,
mean? So
completely mixed.
he hasn't done anything since Juventus, and basically other than
I'm kind of
France.
maybe there is a drug problem in all kind of like elite sports, and it's more under wraps, and there might be more footballers taking it because they might like doctors who
I mean, that's
administrate it.
guaranteed. That's
You think?
every sport has drugs in
But
it.
even football, like I
He
feel like
just
football's a very clean sport in that respect. Or do you
he
think
just
they
didn't
think
do it. He just did it
poorly?
poorly.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, like everybody else just does it right,
so
and
this
he
is what I'm
doesn't.
asking. Like doctors, like they say in boxing, the doctors administrate this. They do it in such a way that you don't get caught,
Of course, yeah.
right?
So I'm a hockey guy, and know quite a few people who work in the NHL in hockey, and they've said essentially every player does drugs, performance enhancing drugs. They just have a very good system because they know in the NHL it's different. The testing is scheduled, so
Mm.
they know when the testing's coming, and they
Is that the same for
schedule.
football?
I actually
I
I've,
have
I've
no,
never looked into it to be
yeah,
honest. I don't even
because it's
know.
so rare,
It's
like
so,
you
well, this is
said.
what I mean. It's so rare.
I've never heard about a case in recent times at
I'm
least. So
Yeah.
assuming he got caught because he probably falsely assumed since he's been injured this
You
time,
won't get
maybe
to.
he wouldn't get tested.
maybe, yeah.
And then he got caught in the middle of like a cycle and he
Yeah.
was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he got blindsided or something like
It's
that.
just I mean, if he do, it's not 100% yet. He's been found guilty, but I mean, the B sample came out, and yeah, it's positive for testosterone. So if he loses the case, it's a 4-year ban, career over, and I think that's his whole legacy done.
This is all I want to say about Pogba, and then I'll leave my opinion where it is. I think he's been more undone. I think his career could have gone very differently if it weren't for injuries
Mhm.
and if he didn't end up in United at
For
United.
the second time, yeah.
So yeah, well, the first time, whatever. But coming back to United, I just feel like that organization, the way the club is, just wasn't right
It
for him.
wasn't right for him.
And
And
Yeah.
and obviously you stack.
he wasn't right for United. But at the same time, you're right. It was a marriage that didn't work.
So I just, yeah, like me, Pogba and Neymar for me have different stories, and I know you think I'm a sympathizer because he's French or whatever, and maybe I am a little bit,
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
but I
You're
feel like.
protecting a drug cheat.
Yeah, I just feel like it's more injuries and circumstance than it was his talent because
Look, I totally agree with you because he was supremely talented. I'm not shitting on his talent.
Mm.
I just think he probably could have done more. At the same time, you're totally right about the injuries. Not only that, though, I'm just thinking back. There were so many times he was played out of position. He was played on the wing, or he was played as a CDM where he wasn't a CDM. Like at Juventus, he was with Pirlo and Marquisio, where he had obviously more freedom to move forward and play. So I think Julian is right in that respect that there are circumstances. United probably wasn't the right club for him. He probably would have had a different type of career path if he maybe went somewhere else. But
and his body type was almost his downfall because everybody saw his body type and was like, wow, like what a physical specimen,
Mm.
that's somebody we need back there winning balls back. That's just not who he is,
Mm.
he's the equivalent of like a Neymar, but he's
Mm.
6'2"
And
and a
well, yeah,
lanky, huge, strong
but
guy,
he's
but
really strong. He's really strong on the ball.
yeah, so
he's more of an elegant, creative
But
footballer.
he's a sexy footballer. Don't get
Yeah,
me wrong.
yeah,
yeah.
so I don't know. It's too bad. Like you're definitely right. Is now when you look back at Paul Pogba, the footballer, everyone's just gonna be like,
Drug cheat. And that
unless you're French and you remember like the World Cup
but
run and everything.
that's I mean, jokes aside, obviously stripping the whole of France international team, but that does got to raise some eyebrows. They're thinking, well, how long have you been doing this and getting away with it?
Well, I mean, I think that raises eyebrows in general about
That's,
footballers
I,
taking drugs.
that's
People might, like you said, people might not have even been aware that it was
prob-
something footballers even do.
Because
exactly.
I know footballers take like injections. I think it's obviously
That's for pain
legal,
and stuff,
pain
right?
and stuff like that, or like if they're nursing an injury. Like I know, for example, speaking of Neymar, like I know he's done it many times. His recurring ankle
Injection.
injury,
Yeah.
injection so that he can continue playing.
Oh yeah, the
I mean, if you
injection.
know about it, then they're obviously
Rooney
legal.
always
Right.
used to say like he used to be battered after a game, and the United doctors were just
Yeah.
to get you
Yeah,
fit
yeah.
for the
But
next
those are
game.
legal. Like those
Oh
are
yeah, yeah.
substances that are allowed, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, of
yeah.
course.
It's
Yeah.
Like
just
I'm saying, if you know about it, they're legal, or else the
Right.
people would be banned.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's they're I
You
I'm
think
fully convinced in every sport, everyone's doing it.
yeah.
Different extremes, obviously. Like a boxer taking it is going to be much more effective than a footballer taking it because
Well, it's a
the
weird.
benefits you get from taking PEDs are more physical, whereas like football is a very technical sport. So you
Yeah,
can be insanely physically gifted and still suck at football.
like it always. I don't know much about the different types of like performance enhancing drugs, but testosterone seems a weird one for a footballer to take.
Well, it's a lot of it's. I mean, as far as I know, I'm not a doctor, but it's mainly for recovery. Like
Right.
when you see Tour de France bikers take, um, when you see Tour de France bikers take performance enhancing drugs, it's not to make them stronger. It's between when they finish a stage one day and then when they start the stage the next morning, that recovery is accelerated massively
Yeah.
because they're taking the drugs. So I think it's more around recovery than it is about like just building massive muscles and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I think you're right though. I think there must be happening in the sport because you'd be a little naive to think that it is a clean sport because I think it just mirrors humans in general, right? Like there's a
Mm,
lot of people that will try to take shortcuts or that will
of
try to
course.
break the rules or bend the rules to get where they need to be or what have you. So I think it's just yeah, there's tens of thousands of footballers, right?
I
Like
think it's just the benefits of doing PEDs for footballers is severely diminished because you aren't going to increase your technical ability by taking performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
So the returns are, if you're an elite footballer already,
Yeah.
then it can give you that extra 1 or 2%.
Yeah.
But if you're a mediocre footballer, okay, maybe it'll give you a bit more endurance to run a bit more strength, but it's not going to increase your technical ability.
Yeah.
mhm,
So yeah, I think the returns are diminished. Whereas like baseball, okay, yeah, you still have to be able to hit a baseball, but if you do PEDs,
You're gonna hit it
you're
hard.
hitting it way out of
So
the
your
park.
performance is gonna be better in terms of athleticism, right?
Yeah, but like strength is a very key component in baseball
Yeah.
because if you can hit the ball farther, then you're really cashing in.
Yeah. I wonder if just to cap it off really is I wonder if we're gonna hear this is like the opening a can of worms and we're gonna start hearing about other cases, you know?
possibly.
It's possible, yeah. They might like that'll ring the bell for a lot of investigative journalists to
Maybe,
start
yeah.
digging around.
Yeah.
That's where it usually
Because it
starts.
is very high profile. Obviously, I know he's not as high profile as he was from a couple of years ago,
Yeah,
but he's still, Paul Pogba is a household name.
Yeah.
yeah. I guess documentaries.
Like too many for what he's achieved, but yeah.
Yeah.